Alright, as is tradition, the polls have decided upon more lore. Lore about the Divine Arch, the main and only mountain range that goes through Xentrae. Its inhabitants include mysterious stonefoot monks who hold a deep connection with the mountains themselves, dark elves who have the elven courts within their sights, mountain giants and their isolationist kin, and I'll cover some subclasses for these, while giving you all the fanciful lore about this interesting part of the continent. Anyways, subscribe, join the Discord where you can play in the world. Starting off, let's talk about the landscape and how it's special. Like any other mountain range, it features glowing peaks that reach up into the sky, known as the Divine Arch, as one of the first thoughts as to why the Divine left the world is to ascend to a different plane. And as such, the idea of ascension linked with these tall monolithic mountains. People took to adventuring them, only to find dragons, giants, and other various natural disasters. The Divine Arch is obviously a dangerous place, as stated prior, with two safe places on the far side of the mountain range. The southern point houses the Luminaris city of Talseth, also known as Hill's Crest, if going by its non-imperial name. It is a city divided into 4 different points. As you ascend the mountain, there's the lowest point, known as the Slums. It has a different name that I can't say on YouTube. Going higher up the mountain, there's the Midway, where most average citizens live. Many taverns populate this tier of the city. Going up again is the Tradeway, where one of the 2 skyship ports on the continent presides. Above this is the Clearview. This is where, in the main game I GM for in this world, the players have a manor. The views here go all the way to the coast, with the wind-ravaged plains to the south, house an expanse of beautiful plains that no one dares move through. Other points of interest in Talseth are the tunnels that go between the tiers of the city, where people can avoid paying the toll of the elevators at the cost of a large amount of time, as each time you enter the tunnels, you are technically leaving the city, and must redeclare entry on the other side. This enables the city to secretly keep track of where its citizens move. There are other ways to move between the layers that are more illicit and as such hidden, but I think that's all I need to cover for Talseth in this video. Moving north, away from the perceived safety of Talseth, there are the Stonefoot Passes, a piece of the arch in which the Stonefoot monks have set a trial of sort for their initiates, to teach them the reserved art of stonewalking, something I hope to show through the subclass I'll be covering here. These trials involve places in which the young initiates must attune with the essence of the earth in order to walk along parts of the earth that anyone besides these monks would find daunting. The first trial involves walking up a cliff, something that can be done by climbing, but as the advanced Stonefoot monks know, the true connection you can form with the essence of the earth allows you to simply walk up it. As such, at 3rd level, Stonefoot monks gain the ability to spend a key point and gain spider climb for a minute, walking along the surface of a cliff, or even upside down in caves by rooting every step with the essence of the earth. They are also unable to be moved forcefully if they are rooted to the ground by use of this ability. The next trial of the Stonefoot monks involves a challenge of combat, as the elder monks test your endurance and your commitment to the earth. By this point, the elders have made sure that the young monk obviously knows how to stay connected to the earth and has improved themselves enough. They attempt to trip, pull, and otherwise relocate the young initiate off of the earth itself. It teaches endurance and grants the monk at 6th level the ability to learn of the masters, and gains the ability to dislocate their opponents from the essence of the earth. Spending a key point allows them the ability to trip, push, or reposition, as per the martial adjustment rules I've made, on every monk attack of their turn, as opposed to only once per turn. In addition, when making a combat maneuver of these types, using the key point, the monk gains advantage to hit, if they declare the maneuver before their attack. The 3rd Stonefoot monk trial has the now learned monk taught the ways of self-defense as they travel nomadic along the Stonefoot path, using the mountains themselves to their advantage. The Stonefoot Monk, at 11th level, gains the ability to spend 2 key points to glide through the earth, granting them the ability to burrow at a speed equal to their movement speed, but they must end their turn on solid ground or take 10d6 damage and be ejected to the nearest open space. Additionally, at this level, a Stonefoot Monk gains the ability to spend 5 key points to summon a Wall of Stone, as per the Wall of Stone spell. As the monks complete their travels through the Stonefoot Mountains, as they have prepared for years to become an elder of the Stonefoots, at 17th level, they finally become a Stonefoot Elder, and they gain the ability to call the earth to aid them in their travels. They gain the ability to move through the earth, appearing anywhere they've been before by spending 6 key points to cast teleport on themselves, and up to 9 others. Caveat being they have to remain rooted to the ground. These Stonefoot monks are overall renowned for their stoic nature and being as unmoving as the mountains and being as fast as the wind atop the steeps. Make a pretty fun subclass too. If you have any rules adjustments you'd like to see me make, let me know. But if you're having difficulty coming up with a reason as to why they did venture, these trials don't happen back to back, obviously. Each monk has to find their way in the world and find their connection to the earth. And many seek out ways to find connection to the earth where they aren't connected to the earth, to find what the earth truly, to find the difference in the essence of the earth and the lack of the essence of the earth. And so they seek adventure in the skies or the ocean, where they simply have no connection to the earth. Hopefully that sparks some ideas for you. But moving on further north, we have the main civilization of the mountain giants. A xenophobic race of giants, the largest of giant kind. They hide their civilization away from other giants and other races. With powerful geomantic essence weaving, they pull upon the earthen essence to create magnificent, sharp stone spears. This earthen geomancy is something many mages would like to study but very few ever can, as these giants are scared of humans and other humanoids, seeing them as only a means of ruin and war. Your first thought is, likely, aren't giants Neanderthals who don't know left from right and seek out war more than the humans? Well, for the most part, yes. But mountain giants are the exception. These giants are very intelligent, though willfully ignorant of humans and humankind. As such, that's why they only see the error of humans, and refuse to interact unless they're in dire need. These mountain giants are a somewhat playable race, with a fairly unique age mechanic, as they're young, around the age of 18 to 20, are only slightly larger than a human. Growing to, at old age, they grow to be the huge size category. They do not stop growing in their lives, and as such, the main cause of death for them is malnutrition. As they grow larger and larger, having higher and higher needs of food, elder mountain giants tend to leave civilization to go out on their own and survive in their final years alone. They find isolationism peaceful, and overall in their society it's respected, as they do not want to burden others with their final years and their needs of survival. The corpses of these past elders solidify with the ground, binding their soul with the essence of the earth, somewhat appearing identical to rocks. A field on the mountain pass with many rocks is just as likely to be a field of mountain giants from ages past. The young giants mainly hold the isolationist, xenophobic ideals of their elders and strive to maintain that in their cities, with very few adventurers coming out from among these peoples. But if you can give your GM a good enough reason to let you play one, you'll find some pretty nice boons. First off, young adult mountain giant is only the size medium, growing to size large at adult, huge at old age, and finally, very unlikely, gargantuan at venerable. Each size increase grants appropriate bonuses, as though you had increased in size through the enlarge person spell. At all ages, these giants are attuned to communing with the earth and asking it to simply comply to their needs. They gain the Move Earth cantrip. As they grow in age, they grow in their desire for knowledge of the Earth, and their connection to the Earth grows. They start off with a strength bonus of +4, going down to a strength bonus of +2, and a wisdom of +2 as they grow into adulthood, and finally rounding out with a +4 bonus to wisdom at old age. An odd stat bonus, as stat bonuses never change with levels, but it's more for flavor, and for other GMs out there to use it as NPCs. Mountain giants as a people are isolationist, experts at wielding the essence of the infamous divine arch, bending the land around them to suit their needs, but understanding their place in the world, and their connection to the world is important to them. Continuing north, there lies deep beneath the mountains a civilization of dark elves. They touch into the primal roots of the mountain, same as the mountain giants, binding the essence of the earth to their will through druidic magic. The three main tenets of Dark Elf society are standard to other forms of media. Connection with nature, trust only yourself, and finally, trust nature more than you trust yourself. The Dark Elves have many terrifying beasts that they make use of in their journeys through the unforgiving cave systems of the Divine Arch. Some of the eldest drow have even bound elementals to their aid in service of their peoples, with the earth elementals acting as excellent scouts, being able to find fast routes through the uncharted caves and even finding caves that dark elves had not known about before. The channeling of these ancient cave creatures requires much work of the druids, but many drow find it worthwhile. I'm sure I'll cover this subclass in a future video, but it's not one that many people will end up playing, or even many may ever know about. Moving on to rolling for progress in the Luminaris Athralis War. The siege of Injara has started. The population of Injara has retreated to the walled portion of the city. The Injaran mages have called for reinforcement through the usage of sending scribes. And Luminaris pushes on in their victorious first actions. Now the modifiers will be lowered for both armies, as there were casualties on both sides. Luminaris will only have a -1, as they rolled a 10 difference above the other army. In my mind, as I don't have any rules for it, the armies will have differing penalties based on their fights. The longer they go without reinforcements, the tougher the penalties will be. Starting off, Athralis will have 2d20 rolls at +2, and Luminaris will have 1d20 at +3. As I stated in the last video, Luminaris is mainly a defensive nation, and they had no penalty to offense last time, but Athralis had a penalty to defense. I've changed it so they have the same penalty to offense as Athralis has to defense, but that doesn't change anything, as Luminaris still would have rolled a 10 above the previous. Alright, starting off, Luminaris. They've rolled a 10 for a total of 13. Alright, Athralis has a first roll of 2 for a total of 4. And they have a 11 for a tying total of 13. Well, I wasn't prepared for this, but I'll say this means both sides have large losses, with no progress being made on either side other than killing their foes. Both sides will gain another -2 penalty to their rolls next time. And yeah, back to the Divine Arch. Past the Dark Elf caverns, there are the Surface Elves. Their capital is adjacent to this part of the mountains, but not directly a part of it, so I'll only touch on it briefly. The Elven capital is where the first elves left the Enclave. Banished from the Enclave, they took through a portal, coming through to the Divine Arch. Heading slightly east, they found a small patch of woods that has grown greatly over time through the Elven Enclave interaction. The Elven Court has never gotten along with the Dark Elves, and if you want spoilers for things that will happen in this campaign over the course of the next few years, go watch my villains video. In top right somewhere I'll link it. Moving slightly north from here is the dwarven city of Citadel Iron Peak. These dwarves have taken to isolationism in their settlement, yet they trade still abundantly in the outer city with everyone who comes to the gates of Iron Peak. The depths of the dwarven citadel are truly unknown, but within, the dwarves have many floors and floors of vaults and many riches. hoarding what they can for the prosperity of their people. The Dwarven vaults are like a museum of relics from the Divine Era. The Dwarven people are stoic and inspired crafters, and their city is filled with many beautiful structures and other inspiring things for their people, and the rare visitor allowed within the kingdom. But that rounds off the interesting peoples of the Divine Arch. I'm sure I'll find other things after I upload this, but I always want to be updating and changing the world, so since the Divine Arch is in the world, I'm sure I'll go back and change it. Alright, let's do all the YouTube things. Like, subscribe, hit the bell thingy, check out the Patreon, as well as the Discord for talking with people about world building. And for where all of this is put down, check out the World Anvil. If you want to join in the Halloween one-shot, I'm going to start preparing it tomorrow when this video comes out. Anyways, peace. Have a good one.